Sit back and listen to this extremely interesting story.
This fictional story involves forced communication between adults, including the main character who took advantage of the situation by pretending to be someone he is not. Please look elsewhere if you don't want to read stories like this. In the morning, Jen dressed in loose sneakers for work. Her bruises were still sore from yesterday, and the thought of getting dressed made her shudder. The day just seemed to drag on, and as it got later, she found it hard to focus, her mind returning to her attack. Her only distraction was when Becky called. Jen glanced at the caller ID before sighing. "Hey, Beck, how are things going?" "It's okay, I guess. Miss you guys," Becky answered. "How is the new apartment?" They talked for about half an hour about new things in their lives. "Sorry, Mom, I have got to run. I will stop by the new place to check things out in a few days if that's okay." "Sure, dear. See you then." Jen hung up the phone and went back to work. After working her shift, she microwaved a frozen dinner and watched TV briefly. Having yet to hear from her husband today, Jen sent him a text. "How are things going, babe?" A few minutes passed before he responded. "Normal crazy. You, still not feeling well. Is anything going on at work that can't wait?" "Nope, I'm done for the day. Why don't you go to bed early? I will be tied up here for a few more hours. We can talk in the morning, thanks, babe. Love you too. Good night," Jen replied, feeling both relieved and disappointed. "Good night." Jen shut off the TV, took some sleeping pills, and went to bed. Over the next few days, Jen felt better. The pills prevented her from dreaming, or at least from remembering what she dreamed. She still didn't know how to think about what had happened to her, and didn't want to look too closely at how she reacted to the pain of her bruises. By Friday, Jen felt more like her usual self. Stan was supposed to be coming home tomorrow for at least the weekend, and she was looking forward to him holding her. About 6 p.m., her phone rang. It was Stan. He was calling a little early tonight. He must have gotten done early today. She picked it up and opened the video chat. "Hey, babe," she said, smiling at her husband. Stan smiled back. "Hey, beautiful. You're calling a little early tonight. Get done sooner today than normal." "Ah, not really. We found a major issue. I'm really sorry, but I won't be able to come home tomorrow." Stan hated telling her, but he knew it would be worse if he put it off. Seeing Jen's face fall broke his heart, and when he saw that she was trying not to cry, he felt like a major ass. "I'm sorry, babe. I really wanted to come home, but I can't. You promised." She yelled at the phone. "I have been looking forward to you coming home. I miss you so much." Jen knew she wasn't being fair to Stan. He had no choice other than to quit his job. She hadn't realized how much the promise of seeing Stan kept different feelings at bay. "I know, dear. I tried to get home. I know you are not feeling well, and I wanted to be able to take care of you. If we get this fixed, I should be home next weekend." Seeing Stan's reaction hurt almost as much as hearing he would not be coming home for at least another week. "It's okay, Stan. I know it's not your fault. I guess I was looking forward to you being home," Jen said, giving him a weak smile. "Crap," Stan said, looking away from the camera. "I have to go, babe. I don't know if I can call you back before you go to bed, so I love you and get a good night's sleep." "It's okay, Stan. I love you too. Good night." Jen kept her smile on until the phone went dark. Life goes on, she thought. She ordered a pizza for dinner and curled up with a blanket on the couch to watch TV. At 8 p.m., she heard someone knocking on her door. If I just sit and ignore them, they will go away. It seemed to work, and she started to relax when her phone dinged. It was a text message from Camilla. "Hey, Jen, I hate to bother you, but I need your help." "I don't want to deal with this tonight," Jen thought, setting her phone down. Her phone dinged again. "Please, Jen, I don't have anyone else who can help." "No," Jen thought. She ignored the message for about 5 minutes before she replied. "Sorry, Camilla, I didn't hear the phone. What's up?" "Thank God I just got a call from my boss. I got the job. The only catch is that I have to go in right now if I want to keep it. Glad you got the position, me too. We need the money. You said you need my help." "Yes, I tried my regular sitter and they aren't answering." Could you watch Donald for me?" Jen was afraid that this was exactly what Camilla wanted from her. She just couldn't bring herself to answer her. Part of her hoped she could watch Donald again. The thought of what he would do to her to please himself made her anxious. It was almost like she was a toy that he pulled out whenever he wanted, use it, then put it away until the next time he needs it. It scared her too. She didn't like the way she felt being forced. That might not be the worst part of it, though. Getting off on being used and abused with no regard for Jen's feelings was causing her not to sleep and impacting her work. She started typing a response several times before erasing each one. Some answers told Camilla no, while others said she would be right over. Jen realized it had been almost 5 minutes since Camilla's last text, and she still hadn't answered. She made her mind up, typing out the text. "Sorry, Camilla. Donald has forced me into communication the last 2 times I've watched him, and I don't want to be anywhere near him. There, I can finally get this out in the open." She reached for the send icon as she remembered the feeling of Donald pleasuring himself. He left bruises on her, and she gave up and got involved in the communication process. She felt herself growing excited as she remembered being helpless as he forced her. "Jen, are you still there?" Camilla texted. Jen looked at what she had written and held down the backspace until it all was gone. "Sorry, Stan called. I will watch Donald. How long will you be gone? Thanks." "You so much, dear. It's an 8-hour shift, so it will be early morning when I get home. I hope that is still okay. It's fine. Let me get some things together. I will be over in a few. See you soon." Jen got up and grabbed a change of clothes. She took one last look in the mirror, checking her hair. She thought for a few seconds before removing some clothes. Might as well be comfortable, she thought. She knew she was only fooling herself, thinking this was for her. She didn't want Donald to have anything in the way if he decided to use her again. Once satisfied with her appearance, she walked to Camilla's apartment and knocked on the door. The door was thrown open in a few seconds, and a frazzled looking Camilla smiled at her. "Thanks so much, dear. You are a lifesaver," Camilla said as she crushed Jen in a big hug. "You're welcome, Camilla." Jen told her after she was released. "Sorry to run, but I am already late. Donald went to bed about half an hour ago and should be done for the night. Make yourself at home. When you get tired, you can sleep in my bed or on the couch," Camilla told Jen as she grabbed her coat and purse and rushed out the door. Jen stood staring at the closed door for several minutes, trying to control her pulse. She felt scared and excited at the same time, knowing that she would be spending the night in the same apartment as Donald. She finally got a grip on her emotions and entered the living room. She settled in on the couch and started flipping through the channels. She found a TV show she liked, and after covering herself with a blanket, she started watching it. The first episode had just ended, and the commercials were playing before the start of the next one when she heard a noise from the hallway leading to the bedrooms. She was shrinking into the couch, pulling the covers up until only the top of her head was above the blanket, staring intently into the darkened hallway. She tried not to move or make any sounds. This was a bad idea. I should just run to the door and get out. I don't owe Camilla anything, Jen thought, holding her breath. Even knowing someone was coming down the hall, Jen still jumped when Donald came into the light from the TV. Maybe Donald won't notice me and go back to bed. He's excited, I thought. She moved slightly as she felt her own excitement, and Donald noticed the movement. "Hello, pretty," he said as he approached her in the shelter. He looked at her with a big smile on his face. He took a step forward. He stood there, waiting for her to start pleasing him, pull away, or turn her head. Jen didn't know what to do. Part of me wanted to push Donald away before running out of the apartment. Another part wanted to do what he wanted like before. The two parts battled her, leaving her paralyzed. Without realizing it, Jen began to do what Donald wanted her to do. She was doing well, feeling a sense of pride that the rational part of her mind couldn't understand. "Are you proud that the man who makes me do this taught me new tricks?" It screamed at another, darker part of her mind. Donald let go of her, crossed his arms over his chest, and looked at her expectantly. "This guy wants me to do all the work," Jen realized. Jen fulfilled his wishes. I can no longer pretend that he is forcing me. Jen thought as she pleased Donald. He wanted to see her, so he pushed her away in the middle of the conversation. Jen was confused and afraid she had done something wrong. "Look at the pretty women," Donald said, pointing to her. She hesitated for a second before standing up and removing her clothes. Looking at Donald, she continued what she had started. She moaned and perked up as Donald grabbed her. The more he hurt her, the more she got excited, and the better she worked. When Donald was satisfied, he released her and sat down on the sofa. "Can I have a popsicle?" he asked, not turning towards her as he watched the show on TV. Jen's head was in turmoil. The rational part of her mind wanted nothing more than to tell him no and leave the apartment. She couldn't believe she'd let him treat her like that again. The darker part wanted more. Struggling with the rational part, the mind whirled until it was defeated. "Sure, Donald, a red one, please," he said with a smile, looking back to the TV. Jen got up from her knees and walked into the kitchen. She found a red one in the freezer and opened it, staring at the frozen pop in her hand. She slowly pushed it out of the wrapper until about an inch of ice stuck out. She took the tip and ran it over her bruises. When they were covered in red juice, she returned to the living room and sat down on the coffee table in front of Donald. He reached for the frozen pop, but Jen held it back just out of reach. "I put a little on myself for you, Donald. Do you want it?" Donald agreed. He licked the ice cream until it was all gone. Jen could see that the boy was excited again. She handed him a popsicle and pushed the coffee table away. She was pleasuring him while he ate his popsicle and watched TV. This time Donald lasted longer. When he was on the edge, Jen enjoyed herself along with him. When she collected herself, she noticed that Donald had gotten dressed and was lying on the couch. He looked like he was having trouble staying awake. His eyes kept closing before jerking open again. She smiled down at him. "Come on, dear, let's get you back into bed." She helped him stand and put him back in bed, kissing his forehead as she tucked him in. She returned to the living room and straightened it up before getting dressed in dry clothes and lying on the couch. In no time she fell asleep. Camilla came home at about 4 a.m. and found Jen sleeping on the couch. "I am so lucky they moved in across the hall. I would have lost this job if it hadn't been for Jen," Camilla thought. She watched Jen for a while. "You are beautiful, my dear," she thought. She had always liked women more than men, but had never crossed the line to touch another. Camilla walked softly to the couch, wanting to reach out and touch her. Camilla put her hand gently on Jen's shoulder. Jen didn't move as Camilla gently pushed her hair to the side to reveal her neck. She leaned down until she was almost touching Jen's neck before she lost her temper. Before doing something she would regret, Camilla stood up and gently shook Jen. "What? Oh, hi, Camilla. Sorry, I guess I fell asleep," Jen said, sitting up and stretching. Camilla watched Jen, fascinated. She quickly looked away before Jen noticed. "It's fine, dear. I'm so glad you could watch Donald. Thanks to you, I have the job. I have to work a few nights a week, but I make more than twice what I did before," Camilla told Jen. "It was nothing, Camilla. I was glad I could help." Jen looked at her watch. "Sorry, it's late. And if you are home, I think I will go home myself." Jen stood and walked towards the door. Camilla moved to stand next to the door. Jen thought she wanted to say something, and wasn't surprised when Camilla took her hand in hers. "I hate to ask, but could you watch Donald tomorrow night? I was offered another shift, which would greatly help me. I think I have someone lined up for the nights next week, but they can't help this weekend. Please." The look on her face was like a little kid asking for a treat. Jen was sure Donald would use her again if alone with him. This both scared the hell out of her and excited her more than anything else that had happened in her life. She knew it wouldn't stop Donald from forcing her again if she said yes. Even the thought of being forced by him excited her. Saying no meant she was at least trying to be loyal to Stan. As she thought about her husband, She felt a wave of guilt for what she had done, and her body's reaction to the very thought of doing it again. All the emotions warring in her froze her in place, unable to answer. Camilla sensed some major struggle in Jen, and placed her hand on Jen's arm. "You can say no, and I won't be upset with you. I know you have a life, too." Jen sighed and found herself saying, "It's okay, Camilla. I don't mind watching him tomorrow night." Camilla pulled her into an embrace and held her for a second longer than Jen thought she should before she let her go. "Sweet dreams, Jen, and thanks again for tonight and for watching him tomorrow. Can you be here at 6 p.m.? "Sure thing," Jen answered, smiling a little. "See you later, Camilla," Jen told her before returning to her apartment. Camilla watched Jen walk to her apartment. "You are so beautiful," she thought. Jen closed the door and leaned against the inside, her mind racing. Why did I agree to watch that guy? She went to the bedroom and started undressing in the dark. Climbing into bed, the last thought she had before falling asleep was how much she wanted to spend time with him. Camilla checked on Donald and found him awake and on his phone. "Hi, Mommy," Donald said, sitting his phone face down on the bed. "Hey, baby, you should be asleep," Camilla told him, walking over and putting his phone on his nightstand. "I was asleep until I heard you get home," Donald assured her, grateful that the screen on his phone had timed out. "Well, go back to sleep," his mother said, tucking him in. Donald smiled at this mom and waited until she left the room before picking the phone up. His friend had commented on the picture of Jen sleeping on the couch. "You are so fucking lucky. Have you spent time with her yet? I am still waiting. Just a few BJ. I can't believe everyone continues to believe this disability lie. What can I say? Mom insists that I have a problem, and pretending makes her happy." "Aren't you afraid she will figure it out?" "Nah, when it comes to me, Mom is a pushover. Sorry, I have got to go. The momster is pissed I am texting. Okay, later." Donald waited a few minutes to see if Jeremy would send anything back. When he didn't, Donald moved the picture of Jen to a secure photo vault and erased the conversation with Jeremy. Don't want Mom to find this and start asking questions, Donald thought as he set the phone back on the nightstand and turned it over.
Subscribe to our channel so that your second C gaff doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think about listening to the next one.